keynote speaker today because I know that every word that he's going to share with you today he believes in passionately. I've known Denver District Chief Dave McGrail for more than 15 years, and I can assure you that firefighter safety and survival is second only to his family. Dave has devoted his entire life, as his father did, to the protection of the citizens of Denver. But in a greater sense, they both have devoted their lives to the protection of people worldwide. I know Dave is going to command this stage as few before him has ever done. Dave is going to share with you his vision, his inspiration, and most importantly, his world-class integrity. And now a little bit about my friend Dave McGrail. District Chief Dave McGrail is a 27-year veteran of the Denver Fire Department. He instructs internationally on a wide range of fire service topics, and he's specializing in high-rise firefighting, standpipe operations. He is the lead instructor of the FDIC Engine Standpipe Hands-On Training class, a member of the FDIC and Fire Engineering Educational Advisory Boards, and he is the author of Firefighting Operations in High-Rise and Standpipe-Equipped Buildings, published by Fire Engineering and available for $14.95. I'm just kidding. And Dave will be out there to just autograph them on Thursday, so please stop him and get an autographed book, and it's a tremendous book. Dave also has 2 associate degrees in fire science technology, 2 bachelor degrees in fire science, and 1 in human resource management, and 1 in fire service administration. Please help me in welcoming District Chief Dave McGrail. How you doing? I'm good, my brother. Great.
Good morning, FDIC firefighters. I'd like to welcome you here. I'm not going to refer to it as FDIC. I'm going to refer to it as your week-long annual fire service therapy session. Most people that know me realize that I probably need therapy as much as anyone else. Therapy session. Why do I call it a therapy session? You veterans of the FDIC experience understand why I call this a therapy session. And as you arrived here at the beginning of the week, I'm sure that you've already started to get your batteries recharged and you're moving forward so that you can go back home for the next 358 days and try and sell some of the ideas and concepts and training programs that you learned here this week. Certainly want to welcome you here. This has been on my mind for a year. What I was going to say this morning, and I want you to know more than anything else, this is truly an honor for me to be on this stage and be your keynote speaker today. Thank you very much for taking the time to be here with me this morning. To Bobby Halton and Diane Feldman and all of the great people at Fire Engineering, Penwell, and the leadership of FDIC, I want to thank you especially for inviting me to stand on the very same stage that so many great fire service leaders have stood before me. One of those fire service leaders that I think about frequently is our friend, brother, and mentor, Andy Fredericks. I believe just as Chief Ray Downey was watching his 2 sons a few moments ago, I believe Andy has been watching us for the past couple of days as well, especially those top shelf engine company hands-on instructors as you continued to pass on the message that Andy started. I see Andy Fredericks as the hub of a very large wheel. And from that hub, there are countless spokes, hundreds, perhaps thousands of spokes, many of which are represented by firefighters in this very room. Those spokes are reaching out to all corners of the American Fire Service to make your portion of the fire service better. Many of the brothers and firefighters that I've met through the FDIC experience, I know and I've become friends with because of our mutual admiration for and our connection with our brother, Andy Fredericks. Truly, Andy Fredericks' spirit lives on in us today. And that's what I want to talk about today, is your spirit, and the importance of ensuring that your spirit continues forward. The power of one firefighter is certainly exemplified by Andy Fredericks and the effect that he's had on the American Fire Service. I want you to think about your contribution, what you've made already, what you'll continue to make, and most importantly, that you are the hub of your own fire service wheel. I look down in the front of this audience here and I see my beautiful wife, who I love, sitting next to the very best Denver firefighters I know. And you guys, I'm very proud of, because each of you are a hub of a wheel. And there are spokes that have started out from that wheel. And I hope you'll continue with that. It's not easy being a fire service leader. Each and every firefighter in this room has chosen to be a leader by virtue of the simple fact that you've come to FDIC. Remember, unfortunately, there are still people in the fire service that think FDIC is still a banking term. And you can see how well the banking industry is doing, okay? It's not easy being a leader. It's not easy because at the end of this week, you're going to go back home, you're going to take things with you that you learned, and you're going to try to sell it to people that don't attend FDIC. You're going to get beat up, you're going to get frustrated, your spirit is going to be tested, but you can't let it get broken. You cannot let it get broken. Each year at FDIC, I hear new stories of firefighters from various portions of the fire service who have literally had their spirit broken. And it frustrates me for one thing, but it makes me angry. It really makes me angry that this is going on. One example that happened a few years back happened to two very top-shelf firefighters from a large Midwestern fire department. And those two top-shelf firefighters became very, very frustrated with the mediocrity displayed by some of the employees from their organization. They decided to do something about it, and they wrote a story. The title of the story was Fishing for Real Firemen. And they published that story in an online fire service magazine. And in that story, they highlighted some of the parallels between what's going on and what should be going on. Let me give you a couple of examples. They talked about how some of the individuals who have passion for everything in the world but the fire service, in this case fishermen, will work for hours at the firehouse, behind the computer, researching the very best fishing hole at the reservoir for their next tournament. But they'll spend little or no time in the fire district learning about hazards and various occupancies. These individuals would never, ever go on an ice fishing trip in a t-shirt, but that to them is acceptable attire when they're investigating an automatic alarm. And then my personal favorite, and I believe Andy will like this one as well. These individuals believe the 1 3/4 hose line is a one-size-fits-all weapon, regardless of the size of fire or the type of occupancy. Okay, so they did this. They vented. Very motivating article. I enjoyed it. I have a copy of it in my locker, at the firehouse, and at home at my desk. Guess who ended up in the chief's office? Who ended up in the chief's office? These two top-shelf firefighters did. They were formally admonished for writing this article, and to me, that's a formal situation where they had their spirit broken. Totally uncalled for. My message to that chief, I have a couple. One of them is this, and it's to all chiefs, and I'm not picking on chiefs here, but you chief officers are in the very best position to ensure that your enthusiastic firefighters are not punished for their enthusiasm. Stop punishing enthusiasm. If anybody needed to be in that chief's office, it's the lazy, it's the lame, it's the guys that don't care. Those passionate firefighters, those two top-shelf firefighters, those are the firefighters who can make that chief very proud the night that it really counts. My hat's off to you two firefighters. You know who you are. And guess where they're at today? Right here at FDIC, recharging their batteries so that they can go back for 358 days and continue to try to make their corner of the fire service better. All right, what keeps us from giving up? Many of my close friends I've asked the question to, other firefighters around the fire service as well, some of you in the room. But I've asked, I said, you know, when you get beat up and people are attempting to break your spirit, what keeps you from allowing your spirit to be broken? And I always get the same answer. I always get the same answer from the FDIC firefighter. You know what they say? Here's what keeps me from getting my spirit broken. You. You're what keeps me from getting my spirit broken. And they talk about that, and they talk about how gratifying it is, especially to come to FDIC, get the batteries recharged, and understand that it's okay, at least for 1 week, to be passionate about our profession, to talk about the job, to talk about training. And when we got done yesterday afternoon with our hands-on training after some pretty cold and miserable Indiana weather, Guess what? Geez, I wish we could do that one more day. It's okay. You can say that. Now, I have 2 requests for you today. Here's the first request that I have for you. My request is this. Look around the room at the tremendous top-shelf FDIC firefighters that are around you. Once again, I can look down in this front row, and I'm overwhelmed by the fact that I'm allowed to work with you guys. Look around the room and understand you are not alone. You are not alone. So please, don't give up. Whatever it is that you've learned here from somebody else, whatever it is that you're going to take back home, take it back home, and don't give up. Now, we are at FDIC to recharge our batteries. We're attempting to recharge our batteries so that once again we can go back to our corner of the fire service and make it the very best it can be. My beautiful wife is in the audience today, and I learned more from her than just about anybody about how I can do my job as a fire service leader and a fire service manager better. 2 areas that I have to work on are diplomacy and patience. I got the tenacity down. I'm pretty good with that one. And it's important to have that tenacity and not give up. But in the process of trying to sell the concept, the idea to make your portion of the fire service better back home, you got to be patient. It's a battleship. The fire department's a battleship. It's cruising at 20 knots. We can't turn it on a dime. We can't stop it quickly. But you can turn it eventually. Tenacity, diplomacy, and patience are critical. Now, I believe I come from the very best fire department in the country, the Denver Fire Department. My father spent 42 years there. He's my primary mentor still to this day. These top shelf firefighters in this front row here, I believe, are the very best of the best. But I come from a fire department that isn't perfect. As Bobby said, it's not perfect. There's always room for improvement. In the process of trying to make your corner of the fire service better, think of your corner of the fire service in 3 different forms. Number 1, your corner of the fire service, your fire department the way it is. Very easy to define the way it is. Your fire department the way it should be. The FDIC firefighter, we are idealists, okay? I get an idea from this chief, man, I'd like to take that back home. And many ideas from this chief, I want to take those back home. And if I had those things going on where I'm at, that would take us one step closer to having the fire department the way it should be. We can identify what it is and what it should be. The difficult one is your fire department the way it can be. Your fire department the way it can be. Don't give up on making it what it should be, but understand in the process of making it what it should be, you got to make it what it can be first. Now, I have, unfortunately in the past, focused too much attention on some of the spirit breakers, okay? I have a message for those spirit breakers today. I have a message for those spirit breakers. I want to say something to those spirit breakers right now. You ready? Here's what I have to say to the spirit breakers of the fire service. Absolutely nothing. You're not worth my time. You're not worth my time, and it brings on too much negativity, okay? Don't focus on the spirit breakers. Focus instead on the photograph of the April issue of Fire Engineering and that 1952 Al Series Mac pumper and Chief Bob Halton's editorial. Focus on the symbol. When engine 23 goes down Federal Boulevard, Cap, I know that the people in that community look up and they believe and they trust that everybody on board is going to be physically fit, mentally prepared, and into the job. Focus on the symbol. This hit home for me in a big way. In an experience that my wife Jean and I had over 6 years ago, the night that our son Joseph was born. Jean and I went to the hospital that night at the end of a normal, full-term pregnancy to bring our son into the world. We walked into a hospital, a symbol It was a symbol for us. We're going to a place where they'll take care of us. When we got in there, there was a doctor and a nurse, symbols. And that doctor and that nurse, Gina and I placed our trust in them that yes, mom's going to be fine, and so is baby. In the last 17 minutes of Joseph's childbirth, that doctor and that nurse stopped paying attention. They became complacent. We didn't know that. We had no idea that was going on. We only figured it out when a nurse from the main area came into the birthing room. She had recognized on her monitor that there were no fetal heart tones. And she told the nurse and the doctor, hey, you got to do something here. When they finally delivered Joseph, he was very cyanotic. They laid him on a table, and I said to the doctor, my son's not breathing. Oh, he'll start breathing. My son's not breathing. He'll start breathing. He never started breathing. He never started breathing. He had to be resuscitated. He had to go on full life support, and he spent 2 months in a neonatal intensive care. When my wife Gina and I took Joseph home, he was not the healthy baby that we came to the hospital with. But he's the most courageous little guy you'll ever meet in your life. Joseph, in the last 17 minutes of his birth, because of the complacency of two people we placed our trust in, he had a loss of oxygen and suffered a severe brain injury. His diagnosis today is severe cerebral palsy. Now, why am I telling you this? I'm not telling you this because I want you to feel bad. And I'm not telling you because I want you to feel sorry for me or my wife. We are very blessed, and Joseph is the best little boy in the world. I'm telling you it for a couple of reasons. One reason is because you have a brother here, and his wife could give you firsthand information on what it's like when you place trust in a symbol. Geez, we're fine. We're in a hospital. There's a doctor and a nurse. They're going to take care of us. It was 17 minutes of complacency that will affect our lives forever. Now, the most important reason why I tell you this is because I believe when your spirit is allowed to be broken, there's a cause-effect that occurs there. When your spirit is broken, it leads to complacency. And some night, somewhere, there is going to be somebody that's going to be counting on you to bring your A game. You cannot allow your spirit to be broken because it will lead to complacency. On the Denver Fire Department website for our training division, they have adopted 3 phrases that were originally written on our original drill manual. And those 3 phrases are desire to serve, courage to act, ability to perform. Now, I realize that most firefighters have the desire to serve, and I think that's fantastic. We saw the firefighter from Milwaukee that clearly had the courage to act. And I believe that exists, and we see good examples of that throughout every year in the American Fire Service. But to me, the most important of those 3 is the ability to perform. I believe those 3 phrases really embody what the top shelf Denver firefighter is, and they also embody the FDIC firefighter. I salute all of you because you're here for this week to exchange information, to learn, and to enhance your ability to perform. Second request for you. Remember the first request. You're not alone. Please don't give up. Request number 2. I want to send you on a rescue mission. I want you to continue to build spokes from the hub of your wheel. I want you to go out and find somebody who has given up. And I want you to bring them back. Just like Size Up, you're going to have to find somebody savable. It's not going to be easy. It's not rapid intervention. This is a technical rescue. Find somebody who has given up and bring them back. Andy was the hub of a large wheel, and you are the hub of your own fire service wheel as well. Be a leader. Understand it's not easy being a leader. Don't give up because you're not alone. Please identify somebody and rescue somebody who has given up. Once again, it is my honor to have been your keynote speaker at the very best fire service conference in the world. 2 quick last things. To the most beautiful girl in the world, happy birthday. And to all you great FDIC firefighters, don't give up. God bless.
Stay here. Well, this was one keynote that was long overdue. I have to tell you, Dave, that was a beautiful job.
Thank you, Bob.
God bless you, man. God bless you. But where's, I think the real Chief McGrail should stand up. Ladies and gentlemen, Dave's wife. Well, once again, we all look like kids in candy stores with smiles from ear to ear, so it's got to be FDIC. Remember to tip your waiters and waitresses when you're out there. Please fill out your evaluations when you're leaving the room, if you wouldn't mind. The National Fallen Firefighters Alumni Meeting will be 7 o'clock tonight in the Marriott in the Lincoln Room. And not for nothing, but the Fool's Bash out there on the streets down by Ike and Jonesy's. If you don't know where it is, then you're not really a firefighter. So we'll see you all out there tonight. God bless, and we'll see you on the streets. Thank you.